I thought I would go back to the word Dhanurdharaya. So Dhanurdharaya, when she who holds the bow, we might have kind of questions. Okay, that's very interesting. Why a bow? We think of the bow more from the almost like a kshatriya perspective or like the warrior type of class, varna, or class, or the idea of like vira and having like the strength. And so from in this kind of context with Bhu Gayatri or Bhu and Dhanurdharaya, she who holds the bow, this is symbolizing that she has a strength, she has a protective force, she has a guardianship to her that she's offering, of course, to all, to all. This is the Mother Earth carrying, holding, supporting, sustaining all. Um, Also, the bow is strong, but the bow must also be flexible. The bow must also be adaptable. If the bow is too strong and too rigid, then it just breaks, right? It doesn't have actually any sustenance and it really doesn't have any strength because now it's broken because it was too rigid. It's like we need the appropriate tension, and Boo carries the appropriate tension to create the stability, but also the strength. I often think about, I don't know if I talked about it, not yet in this series, but probably will in the class coming up potentially. I know I've talked about it in other classes, is like when we look at our feet, when they get tight and they get rigid, then it's really difficult to actually make contact with the earth. And we see like that natural process of aging. Sometimes if we lose that mobility within and that openness in the feet, then actually become rigid. And we can look at it kind of like as people get more elderly, that's going to happen. The connective tissue is tightening, but then we're way more prone to falls. Like it's just like, and what, like they can't connect. Obviously, there's other things going on in their body potentially, but there's like, uh, there's not a durability, a strength, a malleability, for whatever factors and reasons. But when we're looking at Bhudevi as that and wanting to cultivate and recognize that within ourselves, we are looking for strength and stability, but we can still move. We're not stuck. The mind is able to move and open and see different perspectives rather than being rigid and taut. And when we're rigid and taut, then things are usually breaking, right? Because it's too strong. And it's almost like, um, from a mental perspective, can also kind of start to dismantle our relationships because we can't meet people because there's too much rigidity. And so Boo's not rigid, but she's strong, stable. She has the bow. She can be the guardian. She can take the power when she needs it. We can take the power when we need it, and we know when to soften and when to strengthen again. Yeah. So hopefully that is helpful. Um, Also, the bow is like a focus, right? There's a discipline, there's a focus, there's a stability, and relative to Boo, in all forms, she's helping to stabilize the senses. And if we look at when we look at the bow and arrow and the sense of sight, like there's a one pointed concentration that we're moving towards. What it is not scattered focus, because then when we go shoot the bow, then the bow is not where it's not going where it's supposed to be going. And so the yogic practice, all of the different aspects of the yogic practice and techniques are learning to consolidate the energy and consolidate the movement of the senses to be more direct and focused and centered, versus scattered. So she can help us to increase our concentration when we look at it from that perspective. And we could also look at it from the perspective of strengthening pratyahara, or the ability to withdraw the senses and master the senses.